What is the context of the clip, though? All right. So for those wondering, there's a whole thing going around. I guess Hassan was saying that like streaming's like more stressful than like a 9 to 5.
No. Social battery wise, unless you're in retail, fucking retail, it's very different. You're out of touch. I'm gonna die, dude. There's motherfuckers who are accountants in here, and they're misunderstanding what I'm saying. A real job does not expend your social battery in the same.
Someone said check Squeaks' title. Well, I want to see. I want to see what's. It's gonna say his title's gonna be saying like live with the hardest job in the world or some shit.
And this blue collar guy with dirt on his face. Also, we care about the environment loosely. Here's some
coworker just clocking in for my shift at work.
Policies could be related to these panoramic views of
Work too.
in today's high-speed environment, stop motion footage of a city at night.
Holy shit, dude.
Makes you think about doing things efficiently and time passes.
Are they mad because I'm there? Wait, they don't no check marks? What?
Entity.
What the fuck? Bro, it's my job, guys. Relax. Fuck off.
And close-ups of hands passing canned goods to each other.
Checkies? Bro. Oh, because I'm part of the 1% with my check mark. I'll get back to. Please focus on your job and not. I'm so sorry. HR. All right, guys, we gotta close. I gotta get back to work, guys. Fuck. Anyways, I'll give you guys a listen. As one of the streamers here, I think I'm one of the streamers here who has who's worked a real job. I've worked like and by worked a real job, I mean worked probably the cushiest office job you could ever ask for. I worked the cushiest office jobs. I'll give you guys my
fucking way. As someone who did a sales job, a real job, okay, I'm telling you, as someone who did both, like 9 hours of constant performance and people pleasing taps you out from social scenarios. After 9 hours of that, I could probably do fucking physical labor. It would not bother me, but I can't fucking do more social shit. That's my point.
What was the actual clip?
There are obviously real jobs out there that are good comparisons. Service sector, people pleasing jobs would be very similar. Those are like, I think, customer service.
I'll talk to you guys a little bit about my job.
But like if you're an accountant or if you're even like in sales, my interactions with clients was limited, way more limited than like constantly having to do this for 9 hours with like a back and forth interaction for 9 hours. That's what like sucks your social battery and you just tap out after it. Yeah, think about it this way. Like you give presentations for your job, right? Imagine giving a presentation for 9 hours straight. It's like,
it's true.
After a while, you would be like, I don't want to talk ever again.
What was the original clip that got? Like, does someone have a link to the original clip that got him in all this mess? And then I'll give you guys sort of my take, because I've worked kind of two jobs that I can kind of compare that are very different. Someone link me the original clip, and I'll give you guys some thoughts on this. A little bit of Blau's bullshit today. You absolute fucker. 2024, dude. There's the wait, where's the actual clip?
Gruesome. A real job. Yes, a real job can be gruesome. A real job can make you very tired, but a real job doesn't suck the soul out of you. You know what I mean? In the same way that 9 hours of streaming absolutely will. So,
okay. We need to talk about a few things here. It's time for Blau's bullshit. So for context, I have worked, let's discuss my work in kind of two different sorts of jobs that I've legitimately worked for a long period of time. In high school and summers, basically during my I had a summer job. I had a really cool summer job, actually. I was a whitewater raft guide. Yeah, it's like the whitest shit you can do. I literally took families down rivers in Colorado as a whitewater raft guide, which in some ways was kind of like, sure, you had to talk to people, be entertaining, but then you also had to guide a raft. shit like that. The pay was garbage. I mean, like, I think per hour it was legit like somewhere between 10 and 50. Like, as a rookie guide, I'm pretty sure you made $10 to $15 an hour. But you could get juicy tips. I mean, I had some tips that were like, oh dude, I took a family down for like a full day trip, and at the end of it, they tipped me like $500, which was fucking insane. And I was like, oh shit. Damn, what river? The Pooter? Yeah, the Cache the Pooter. I did the Elk. Fuck, I did a few rivers. Yeah, those are my first donos. There's different stresses in jobs. I think something that I do not envy about that job. So that was like, that part of that job was you had to be social and entertain people. It was also physically demanding. I was guiding a fucking whitewater raft down a river. But the worst part of that job was people died on that river every year. And like, I've told you guys, there was a time where, like, this is during my rookie season as a whitewater raft guide. They basically let a family go rafting where, like, and I'm not trying to, like, they weren't in shape to go rafting. They like physically, it was not a well balanced boat. It was like a whole family, and like the mom of the family was she was frankly like just too large to be whitewater rafting, like just too big of a person. And it fucked up the raft. It was made the raft extremely fucking hard to turn, and we went through a rapid. Oh no, it was right before a rapid, actually. I called a bump of like a wave that we just have. Like, basically you have to go through some waves to set up correctly to go down a rapid, right? Which means it's going to be bumpy as you like set up, right? And I called out that there was going to be a bump, and she fell overboard. And I have never been more terrified in my life for someone else's, because I was like, oh my God, if this lady goes down this rapid, she might die. And then it was, dude, I vividly remember this, trying to get this lady back in. I don't know why I'm playing this song. Fuck. I vividly remember trying to get this lady back into my boat before the rapid. And I literally, it's something we've talked about. We talk about during our safety talk as guides. It's the only time I've ever had to do this. It's a fucking awful thing to do. I had to dunk her. So she's wearing a life vest. I could not pull her into the raft with my own strength. So you grab onto the shoulder of their life vest, and then what you do is there's like the pontoon of the boat. You put your knees up against it, you try and pull them in on top of you like this. I was not strong enough to pull her in. So what I had to do was dunk her. I had to, and she's screaming this whole time, and I literally said, I'm gonna dunk you, and she's like freaking out about this. I don't know, she has water in her mouth. I push her down, and then use the buoyancy of pushing her down with the life vest. We'll pop her up like this, pop her up, pull her back onto the boat, and she lands on me. And it was like a fucking, except for the fact that people's lives were at stake, it was the most comical shit ever, because then I'm just flattened on the floor of the raft with this lady on top of me. And the rest of the raft, like her husband, and I think they had like a son, there's like other people in the group too, are trying to like pull her off me, but she was really big. And they can't pull her off me. So we have this fucking raft going down the rapid. This is my rookie season, by the way. This raft is going unguided down the rapid into rocks, fucking waves. It is, and what is crazy is, I am pretty sure the only reason we did not flip was because the center of gravity of the raft was so, like, then compressed down by her laying on top of me that we didn't flip. And we got through the rapid, they got her off me, and it was okay. But after that, I like always had this innate fear whenever I did that job, and reflecting back on it, and I this is actually a very serious thing. One of the guides who taught me, who was a 9-year-long guide on that river, who was the one who taught me, veteran seasoned guide, I learned he actually he died a few years ago rafting on that river. And when I learned this news, I was like, holy shit. This dude, who is the most veteran guide, who taught me everything I know died on the same river that we were rafting, fuck that job. I can't do that like that. So like that's the kind of like work where I'm like, holy shit. You know, there's like, you know, that shit's wild. I don't even know what's good background music while we talk about this. Fuck. I guess players. Anyways. So that shit is wild and was like pretty rough. Okay, now let's fast forward. What is the other job I've done? We'll just talk about like working for Riot. Actually, I won't say working for Riot. Let's say working for a giant video game company. And I won't specify which one because I've also worked for PlayStation and Innersloth. So, pay was great. Got paid, was making six figures. You know, a lot of these places have a cafe where you can go and get coffee to start your day. All your food is taken care of. You have a gym there. It's like that. Think that like cushy tech job, you know? But I think the problem with like, so I think the thing that like Hassan is wrong is I get what he's trying to say, but when he says it's not as soul sucking, I'll tell you guys like my honest take having now, I have done the like, you know, the whitewater rafting job was really fun. And even that was kind of fucked up, but I've done like a corporate, like really cushy tech job. Dude, streaming is infinitely better than that. It's just infinitely better. It's my honest take on it. I do agree with Hassan that if he had framed this as social, yeah, dude, the social battery of streaming is really like, I think the way I would want to have this discussion is, and it's funny that me and Squeaks are memeing about this being a job. This isn't really a comparable job. It's just not really comparable. Like at the end of the day, the advantages of this, the money that we make is insane. The flexibility that we have is insane. And if you really want to know what is the most soul crushing thing, the most soul crushing thing is working for a company that gives you a sense of belonging and a sense of identity. And the company itself, you guys want to know what really is soul crushing? This is something maybe, I don't know, maybe Hassan hasn't experienced this. The most soul crushing thing, and I'm not trying to like, I'm not adding any specific company, but the most soul crushing thing is when a company gets you fresh out of college and makes you think that being a part of that company is now part of your identity and makes it feel like a family and like you're part of some bigger cause. And then having that entire illusion shattered in front of you when you realize you are a fucking cog in the machine and you are worthless to them and they do not give a fuck about you after they have done all of these programs and come up with words like, oh, you're a Googler or whatever to make you feel like you're a part of Google and all this other bullshit. And then realizing they do not give a fuck about you and will throw you to the fucking wolves when it doesn't make sense for them. That is soul crushing. That is the most soul crushing thing. And really the most soul crushing thing. And again, a lot of people, some people live to work, some people work to live. But, you know, another thing that's also soul crushing in sort of corporate America working the tech job, and this is why I feel like I can speak to this, and a lot of viewers, whether it's, you know, if this gets clipped to LSF or wherever else, people are like, yeah, Blau fucking gets it and knows. The other thing that's fucking soul crushing is when you put in way more work, but because you're not the person who gets noticed, or doesn't get like the credit for the work and some other fucking degenerate in middle management takes that credit for you and you're the one who's working way more and you know there's a bunch of people just fucking slacking off doing jack shit but you're all paid the same and during performance reviews they do better than you because they just committed to less projects and just made it seem like they were doing more work. Fuck that shit. Everyone knows that shit. What's another thing that also, oh my God. or like some of the fucking company policies. Like, let's say you're working for a giant company and you happen to have like a social media account, and that company fucking comes and claps you for social media shit when you're like, wait a minute. Other people are saying way fucking worse shit. Do you guys know like what is and shouldn't be policed? And then you realize that they don't have a coherent policy about how to manage their own social media, and that they have this weird thing where it's like, oh, well, we want our people to like, you know, be free and say what they say, but also as long as they don't say this or as long as they don't do that, and they have these weird inconsistent policies, and then people end up getting into weird company policy where then you learn later that people were snitching on each other and anonymously reporting people's social media just because they didn't fuck with them. That happens in corporate America too. Oh God, the company politics where someone's fucking snitching on you and trying to fuck you over. Not that I would know, but I'm just saying I feel like this could have happened for any of the companies I previously worked for. And then you work for all these things, your performance reviews are great, you're doing a good job, and then all of a sudden you get fucking clapped by layoffs because your company overhired. That's soul crushing. I think all of these examples of and what I'm saying is all of the truly soul crushing shit that I think happens in corporate America or in jobs in America happens even at the most desirable, cushy tech companies or video game companies. So yeah. And that's even in the corporate job. I would also, I cannot empathize with this, but I'd also imagine that, yeah, living paycheck to paycheck or that fight. Like, I think probably the biggest stressor, if you were to like do a study on this, like some sort of neuroscience study on cortisol levels, is probably financial freedom. However, I do say, like, I think Hassan just said this incorrectly. And I think, I actually do think, I feel bad for him. I think he got clipped out of context. I know Hassan, I know he's talking about, he's saying the like, he doesn't mean soul. He's saying when he said soul crushing here, he meant social battery. Oh, I agree with him. I have never had a job that drains. Of the line of work I've done, streaming does drain your social battery more than anything else. But here's the thing: streaming is weirdly, like, in content creation, just doesn't really feel like a job. It feels very different. Again, I cannot explain to you, chat, the liberty that is all of my work I own, and I make that money. And if I want to make more money, I go and stream more. I plan more content. If I want to chill and relax, I do less of that. That freedom is unbelievable. I would argue if people are trying to compare regular jobs to streaming, I don't think it's a good comparison. Having worked a regular corporate job that was extremely cushy, having done streaming. Obviously, I'll tell you guys, yes, streaming is, it's not about being easier or not. It's just way more, it's just way more privileged. That's my perception of it. It's just way more privileged. However, that does come with some really unique things. When I worked as a whitewater raft guide or as a game except for the few times where I was public on League of Legends and then, got death threats for that, so I got a little sample of it. But dude, the stress of community and people's eyes on you is a very unique stressor to streamers. And it really is something that I think a lot of streamers feel and want to be like, yo, like this is like the thing whenever streamers want to be like, yo, we actually do have it hard. This is the kind of thing they want to talk about. And it's really hard. Like, even me as a streamer, I have had a substantial number of death threats, people trying to, and like you guys can think about the size and of Hassan and the content of Hassan. Okay, think about that level. Now think about where I am. Even at my level, I've had death threats. I've had people try to dox me. Weird fucking parasocial people shipping me, stalking me. I've had people make I've had people make porn of me. Like, AI deepfake porn has been made of me. So now think about, and that's of me, right? Think about any of the women streamers who are even remotely around my size and what they have to deal with, right? All of that shit is deeply, no, I mean, like, are you guys saying, no, I don't go looking for it. I found it. I saw it. Seen it. You get that being a famous person, nothing to do with streaming, bro. I get that, but that's why, like, I don't think it's good to compare the jobs, if that makes sense. What I'm saying is all of that stuff is uniquely disturbing to streaming. It is all uniquely disturbing to living life as a streamer. Does that mean that, like, again, like, if you're like, an easy way to think about this though is like, okay, Blau, you're like born into, you get to live your life over again and start over. Do you want to like live in corporate America and work a normal job, or like have this streaming life that you had? Of course I'd pick this life. I think it's way better overall. All of the I think the flexibility of the job, what we're doing on the job. I'm just talking to you guys and shooting the shit, and then I gotta go role play as fucking Jesse Ranga and drive with a fucking Logitech steering wheel. That's sick. I don't have to worry about granted, I still do consulting work, so I still do like actual kind of like desk work on the side, which is a very different kind of work. It feels like a break from streaming, actually, and vice versa. Streaming feels like a break from that. I don't really think they're comparable. What I would tell you is this: they're not comparable, but living life as I genuinely do think life as a streamer tends to just be more privileged. But on the flip side, you know, at a certain point, I would admit, I'll tell you guys this: at a certain point, there are unique, like, I guess the way I think is that there's unique pros and cons, right? The money we get is pretty incredible. It's probably one of the highest, like, it's literally one of the highest paying jobs unless you own a business, right? And in a way, we are owning our own business, so we have flexibility as well. The actual day-to-day of what we're doing, playing games, shooting the shit with chat, amazing. But like I said, some of the downsides are pretty unique, right? When I worked as a game dev, I didn't have people making AI porn of me, which is deeply disturbing. I didn't have people stalking me and like stalking me and my friends and writing fucking parasocial paragraphs about us, which every now and then we see, and it's pretty deeply disturbing. I didn't have people like fucking yelling at me for random fucking shit on Twitter, right? There's some degree of like privacy that you lose and a sense of like yourself that you do lose being a streamer. I'm trying to just be honest with you guys about like how I view it. So I think that, and to Hassan, and then to Hassan's point, when you stream for however many hours a day, it greatly drains your social battery in a way that I have never experienced in other jobs. But all that being said, I think the pros outweigh the cons. So, do you think female streamers get it worse? Fuck yeah. I mean, like, again, like, there's like a certain degree of like, if you're a woman in this space, like, I don't blame the women if they just want to fucking check out because of all the fucking weird shit they have to deal with. There are pros and cons to every job like that. The more eyes on you, the worse the cons can be. So I can see how that can be incredibly stressful. Yeah, again, it's like, I'm not saying streaming is easier or harder. It is just different. If you had to ask me which is just sort of a better gig, obviously streaming. Dude, streaming, it's an incredible gig. But again, you can't, streaming's not it's not like you apply to be a streamer or there's a certain number of slots to be a streamer. It's like it happens or it doesn't. I think a lot of us can even, like, not to say we're like Hollywood actors. Ooh, but it's kind of like similar to like a fucking Hollywood actor. It's like, yeah, like they live a life of luxury, fame and stuff, but they have to deal with the fucking weird paparazzi. They have to deal with all these other pressures. And a lot of them end up, you know, it like fucks with people's mental. Rowden TV says, dude who doesn't want to play video games for a living. True. Yeah, man. Like, I mean, I guess though, overall, again, my overall take is I feel like I had one of, if not the best job in the world. As someone who, and I think this speaks to maybe like the LSF community or like just a lot of the Twitch community in general, is like I got to work on video games and I love video games. It's incredible. I love that job. One of the best jobs I ever had. I love streaming more, like streaming and content more. However, though, I'll tell you guys, I do think that like streaming and there's a reason why I am still doing consulting work as a game developer. Because for me, streaming and content creation is like a fun thing that I'll do. But I think eventually I'll shift back to, like, if right now I'm like 80% content creator, 20% consultant, I think over the next 10 years, that will probably shift back where I'll be doing like 80% game dev consulting, 20% content, you know? Anyways, what do you guys think? Wow, what do you find useful to help manage your mental health from the stresses of streaming? Stay off of the fucking internet. I've had to train myself to do this. Like, because when you're starting off as a streamer, like all of the people talking about, you know, it's like you love like reading people's comments about you on like Twitter or YouTube or Reddit, and you want like, oh, they're saying this about me, this. All streamers do that early on. It's a horrible habit that you have to then eventually break. So like for me, the biggest thing is when I'm done streaming, I'm like, okay, I need to spend time with my friends. I need to call my mom, talk to my family, stuff like that. Anyways. Yeah, I'll answer some questions about it, but like in general, I try to disconnect a little bit more. Disconnect to connect. Yeah, my mom literally told me go touch some grass. I would imagine being a teacher. Is probably one of the most stressful fucking jobs. Yeah, we're still doing some Blau's BS. I imagine being a teacher is stressful as fuck. But again, I just like I said, I think streaming is just extremely, I'm extremely privileged to have this. Like, and I genuinely want to thank all of you who are here right now and who are going to be here during the role play sections and the variety sections. Like, thank you guys for, I have no idea how long we'll be doing content for. Thank you guys for like following, chatting, subbing. Some of you guys have dropped incredible gifted subs to me, and it's like, it really means a lot that I can do this. It's an extremely privileged job. I fucking love it. I'd say don't be too hard on Hassan, though. I think what he meant to say was kind of what I was saying. There are some unique challenges to the job that I don't think people understand. Like, I think that might be a shock. I think that might be a shock to some people when I'm like I have seen really disturbing. There's really disturbing stuff out there that like ships me with my friends, and it's very disturbing. There have been people who have stalked me, and that's very disturbing. There are people that have made AI deepfake pornography of me, and that's deeply disturbing, right? So those are things that I didn't have to deal with as a game developer, right? And I would say the majority of people don't have to deal with. But dude, especially if you're a woman, and like, guys, imagine that's me as like, you know, I'm a biggish streamer, but I'm not like any of the fucking crazy big streamers. I don't think I do content that like courts much controversy, and I'm not a woman, right? So imagine being one of the women streamers at any sort of larger size and like all the bullshit they have to deal with. And that takes a unique toll on you, you know? Yeah, it's like Sony put it a good way. It's like the only job where even as like a straight white male, you have to deal with very uniquely weird, disturbing shit. Even as a straight white male. So you can imagine then, as soon as you're not white, as soon as you're not straight, or if you're a woman, all of a sudden the weird fucking shit that people bullshit you get is amplified like 10x. So exactly. Anyways. As a game dev, I'm sure you also got a lot of fucked up shit as well. Not really. It's very different. I mean, also you had to be a you'd have to choose to be a public facing game dev. That's a choice on you, which by the way, if you're a game dev, don't do that. If I was to give any advice to any game dev in the future, do not be public facing and do not tweet on behalf of your company. Don't do it. Basically the calculus is your company has everything to gain from it and you have everything to lose from it. You don't get paid extra for being a good community outreach person for your game studio. You're not, unless you own the studio, unless it's like a small indie operation. I would say with like Innersloth, it would be worth it, right? Like working on Among Us with Innersloth, yeah, that'd be worth it. Anything larger than that, don't fucking do that. Yeah, that's how you also make bad haircut decisions.